If you're a coach wanting to triple your revenue or better in this year and next, you're in the right place. This is a training that I'm excited to partner with Alina Trigubenko from Profi to help lay out the groundwork for both before somebody becomes a client and after they're a client. How can you do what you need to do to grow your business? So joining me from Puerto Rico is Alina Trigubenko. Good afternoon to you. How are you?
I'm very excited to be sharing those insights because I love what we do here at Profi. We are on a mission to enable coaches help more people, and whatever it takes to step on that mission and go and walk this path, I'll do. And I'm super excited to be here sharing those insights with you and learning from you as well.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm excited to share from Leadpages' perspective too, because for the last 12 years, we likewise have been serving a lot of coaches, a lot of service professionals, getting them better lead generation on the front end so that they can, treat their clients really well. And I'm excited to hear more about what you have in store. So for you watching, Alina and I are going to go back and forth over the bit of time that we have together today, asking each other some questions. So it's a fireside chat, if you will. And we'll start out with just a little bit of background for you, Alina. How did you decide to get into the world of creating a SaaS for coaches? Because I know that hasn't been your experience for all of your life. What problem did you see out in the world that you're trying to solve?
Yes, I actually am coming from a business. I used to be a producer and I was doing a lot of different things in the media field. And while I was shooting lots of interesting content, documentaries, shows, and panoramas around the world, I've always been a client of many coaches, consultants, trainers, and therapists. And I've always had a very big place in my heart dedicated to those kind of professionals because I see their value and I see the importance of their gifts that they bring to the world. But as someone who is really in the efficiency gig, I've always been super frustrated with the experience I would get. It would just not correlate for me when I would pay a high ticket for an engagement with a very important, for me personally, let's say, leadership coach or therapist or anyone else in the industry. And as a client, I would have to basically manage our engagements so that it's all streamlined and then there is no kind of hiccups in the journey when it comes to payments or anything else. I decided to just go on and solve this problem. And then I became a coach myself. And I realized that the problem is just so much bigger on the other side of the market. When you're a coach or a service professional, we really activate a different part of the brain. And it's a very different kind of the motion that's happening that we're using. And it's a very much of an opposite experience that we want to provide to our customers. For example, when we're in the care delivery experience, when we're working with our customers as coaches, as therapists, as service professionals, we don't want to be thinking about anything related to their payments. Did that client pay that bill? Did that invoice go through? How many packages, how many sessions in the package do we have? Where was that thread that they sent me? All of this is just a distraction from the mission why coaches decide to dedicate their lives to helping others. And having experienced both, I just decided to build a solution that would streamline this experience, the engagement experience, and augment and enhance the care delivery and the service delivery process.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it's an amazing system. We'll talk a little bit more about what it solves for people in just a little bit. But for the growth of what you've been doing, congratulations for all that you've been achieving over the last few years since starting it up.
Thanks. Likewise. Do you mind me asking what made you fall in love with the problem you're solving too, and why are you in this space?
Yeah, thanks. Similar kind of thing, being frustrated about the world as it is and wanting to improve upon it. I come to this area as a high school teacher who was very good at teaching people how to do online technology and how to do online marketing. And I had my own business coaching and training business out of the high school. And eventually I was really tired of telling people how to do the insides of websites and HTML and all this other stuff. And luckily along came a guy named Clay Collins, who with a couple of co-founders created a software platform that would allow people to manage their own landing pages, really don't care about a website at all for the first year or two of your business, and just have really good looking pages that actually convert. And so they brought me on board about 10 years ago now to train their customers and to lead masterminds and do live events and all kinds of fun stuff like that. And so every day I get to work with our affiliate partners who are engaging their customers as well as our existing and future customers to make sure they know how to actually market online. Because you know this, Alina, I'm married to a coach. In the history of coaching, as far as certification, you're taught how to be a really good coach. And no coaching program that I know of certifies people to market that coaching business. They're usually epically bad at teaching people how to market their business. And so you're absolutely right. Coaching is super valuable, has a high impact on our world. And I want to help remove a lot of the technical hurdles, just like you're removing the logistical hurdles of that interference psychologically with the client and provider relationship. Likewise, I don't want the technology to get in your way of having more clients and feeling confident with all aspects of your business, not just when you're actually talking to people.
Yeah, we're both of us are in the business of removing friction and creating
Mm-hmm.
time, and which actually leads to future proofing the business of the markets that we serve. And that's, I think, it is a very important help for the helpers. So it's doubling the impact.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So let's get into some strategies, some concepts to help people become better at marketing their coaching business or delivering their coaching business. And again, I'm assuming that the people watching this are really good at what they do from a coaching perspective. We're not going to teach you how to be a better coach from some kind of like new assessment technique or new approach to how you discuss challenges and what kind of active listening you do and what words to use to help bring stuff out of a client. We want to talk about that infrastructure and marketing strategy and concepts to help you become a better business person of your coaching.
I hear this a lot from coaching schools that they actually feel pretty bad that they release their coaches without really a business education. So I'm glad that you are dedicating so much of your time and energy and investing into creating this whole business infrastructure education for coaches, because that's really important. There's so much care and there's so many gifts that coaches have and consultants have to share with the clients. And it's all about creating that coaching flywheel that we'll get into with you. Nowadays, scaling a business, it's all about building systems. And in the age of everything being digital first, without the systems, it's very hard to scale, because coaching is a craft, but it's very hard to turn it into a real business unless you put it into systems and you create systems automation and that, again, flywheel that you will dive into. And without it, it's just very hard to make real money with a coaching business.
You're absolutely right, because if you are stuck in this time for dollars trap, which so many coaches are right now, all you're doing is running from one client to the next or trying to find another client. But if you don't have the system in place, you're spending too much time on doing that versus serving your clients. I think I remember hearing from you in a different interview, there's some kind of like statistic about how much time coaches are spending on like the admin and stuff like that. Do you remember what that number looks like?
For sure. We live and breathe coaching market, so I know all the data that we come across because it's pretty fascinating. So we did a pretty significant study, research on the market, and we interviewed lots of coaches in order to understand. We were trying to create that kind of pie of their time allocation, time investment. It's pretty shocking that less than half of their professional, time, coaches invest into paid activities, meaning that they are actually servicing their clients. It was 41% of their time allocated to providing paid work, and the rest was sales and marketing, background automations, billing and payments, chasing unpaid invoices,
Hmm.
following up, and everything else related to the engagement, but that is not actively directly correlating with the revenue. We are on a mission as Profi, as a product, as a platform, to automate as much as humanly possible, as much as automatable, because some of the things technology is so much better at. For example, once you get a first client or check up to 3 clients, that's when normally coaches don't actually need the system. But as soon as they start scaling beyond 3 clients, they benefit greatly from having a system upselling their clients, meaning that, for example, once their initial chemistry call is over, the system or let's say a package, the system would suggest to upgrade to the next level of the service, or to buy it again, or to book another session. All of those little conversions sometimes can double to triple revenue, because coaches are not naturally good at being their own salespeople and their own marketers too. And that's what we hear all the time from our market. And when the systems are handling that for you, you're going to take that friction off of the table, because you also don't want to make your clients feel that you're upselling them or you're selling them. Normally, that might leave a bad impression too, sometimes, depending on how the experience is handled. All of those automated design in the kind of infrastructure has a very direct impact on the revenue. And coaches, before they have systems, they don't normally realize how much revenue is being lost if there is no infrastructure that naturally helps remove friction between the client payments and clients upgrading and continuing to have the engagement.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And one of the things that I've seen, both personally for me, and again, I'm surrounded by coaches, both personally and professionally, is, let's say you sell a package of 3 sessions. That third session, half of it, you're thinking about, okay, I've got to pitch them on the next batch of sessions. And you're not really listening. You're not really giving them the good coaching stuff. And then the vibe that you get pushes off on the client. And then when you do address it, they're like, you've been weird all session. What's this about? As opposed to, you have a system that says, hey, this is your last session. You have an opportunity to do renewals, and that's automatically in your back end of things. The client comes to you and says, hey, I see I have an opportunity to do more with you. Tell me more about it. And then it's a much more natural conversation, which, as you mentioned, if you're not naturally a salesperson, it's going to be super helpful. So we're going to talk more about that delivery of services in a bit. I think, though, Alina, I'd love to share first that coach's marketing flywheel that you mentioned, because I do think giving this big picture view for a moment is helpful to know, like, as a marketing person of your business, what should you be thinking about? How should you be looking at your activities? And I like to split it up into basically 2 sides. So you have the before a client and after they've become a client. And I want to talk more a little bit later about the before a client. And then I'm going to ask Alina here very shortly about the after the client. But it's all part of this big picture of this coach's marketing flywheel that's going to be rapidly speeding up as you grow your business. That's what scaling a coaching business is going to look like. It starts with getting attention in the first place. You need to give them some value. And that value is typically going to be some demonstration of your knowledge, your expertise, and your ability to help them know what their challenge is and how they can take the first step to solving it. So at Leadpages, we've specialized in that front end of doing that through lead magnets, creating a checklist, creating a cheat sheet, creating a webinar, creating some kind of an e-course or a video that gives people that first step, right? Once you have that attention and they give you their email address, you then can get them to become a client. The next part of the flywheel is to serve them really well. It's to give them the opportunity to do whatever transformational work that you do with them so they get actual results. And if you can focus on making sure your clients get results, then the next stage of the flywheel is they will be proof that what you do works. They hopefully will tell their buddies and their colleagues and their connections. And even if they don't, you can still have a case study with what they have been able to do with you. And so that gets more attention again at the top of the flywheel for you to spin through it again. That client who gets great results will likely be on that wheel continuously, wanting to get more and more services from you, but they'll also be a source of more referrals. As that speeds up and as it continues to grow and you systemize these things, it is less work for you long term, but your revenue can triple, can multiply by 5, 10, whatever it is from today. Any questions that you think I missed on that, Alina, or anything else that you see from your side of how this marketing flywheel is such an important part for people to get?
I would love to learn, how do you think this industry and the flywheel might be changing? I know that AI is coming in, it's already here and is coming after lots of roles in the marketing department. What do you think is the state of the flywheel in 2024 and beyond? In the next couple of years, what do you project happening to it?
Yeah, that's such a great question. And I think it's going to be a fun journey to be on. At Leadpages, we have AI incorporated into our product to help you brainstorm your ideas for what you're going to write, how you're going to put together your landing page. We see people using and encourage them to use like ChatGPT or other tools to help brainstorm what should your lead magnet be? What kind of area should we be talking about? I have a prompt that I encourage coaches to use of saying something like, hey, I'm an executive coach and I want to deal with these kinds of clients who are in this kind of situation. What are the 5 challenges that they currently face? And it's basically you having a back and forth of the product research of an audience, right? Where I draw the line is I don't want you to then turn that over into 100% that's your new lead magnet, right? Because you can go several steps down and take that information, do a couple more prompts, and all of a sudden you have the text of a lead magnet. Where I think things are going is people are going to over index on AI because it's so efficient and speedy, but it's also really bland, right? And so for coaches, you're making this human connection with your audience and your clients. And so even though I encourage you to use AI as a tool, I still want you and your authenticity and your brilliance to shine through. And so use it as a starting point and a backboard to bounce ideas off of. But you need to be the one that's actually putting the final stamp on what you're doing. Likewise with coaching, I'm sure you're seeing AI coaching bots that are coming along. Where do you see that going, and how can human coaches stand out above that noise?
I believe that this industry is so much about trust and resonance. I've been working in several industries and I have not seen this kind of reliance on trust and personal connection and the personal chemistry as I see in the coaching space. For example, in the initial days of Profi, we were testing different kind of matching system parameters and where we were trying to understand how can we drive more qualified clients to our coaches, for example. And we tested across the board very different parameters, and a lot of the things came down to just the personal chemistry. So the chemistry sessions are extremely important, and that of course influences everything that represents a coach: the front end marketing, website, the language. How do you position yourself? Are you niche enough? Are you extrapolating your personality enough versus generating generic AI formulated, safe, if you wish, sentences or positioning on the website? That all of this has really great impact on the conversions and the client's understanding that this coach is right for them. I believe that the AI and technology will be automating so much more of the journey of the client coach journey of the engagements that it really comes down to that augmented care experience, that heart-to-heart connection will be amplified and will be enabled to deliver better results because we'll just know a lot more about the client upfront as soon as they get on even the first call, because there's so much more marketing tools right now that allow us to scan for personality patterns prior to every session. And then with all the notes, everything being centralized in one place, we'll just be a lot more equipped to tailor and hyper personalize our sessions, our services to our clients. And I strongly believe that there will be a customer in demand as well, because a lot of customer habits are driven by companies that we use daily, because humans are habit driven creatures, right? So if Uber is teaching us that everything is available on demand, we kind of expect it from every service we engage with. And if, for example, we're getting a very advanced level of personalization from Google, from all of the other big companies, we just naturally expect everything to provide the same level of hyper personalization. And I think that directly translates to coaching as well.
I'm curious if on your roadmap, or if you recommend a tool or two of like these note-taking apps. I know inside of Profi, people can do their video sessions with you inside of the platform. Do you anticipate having a note-taking app that might help speed up the process of the coach delivering to the client, like, here's the 4 takeaways, here's your homework, here's what we're going to work on next, because it summarized and then predicted what the next step would be?
Yes, we're actively working right now on a design and a partnership with a tool that specializes in note-taking, because I believe there is so much more value in the holistically designed tools. That's why, for example, HubSpot is a great CRM but it might not serve the unique needs of coaching industry. And that's why we saw this big opportunity for Profi to execute on a holistically designed tool set and enablement for our industry. When coaches are looking at different tools, I would highly recommend going for those that are specializing in the vertical that we're in, because startups are all about compound effect, and seeing that your vendor of choice is pushing in the same direction means future proofing your business. So there is a great AI note-taking tool for coaching market. It's called Heyday. We're working on the partnership with them. Them, for example, has been a market leader, but since they're not going after the coaching experience design, it might not be as powerful as specialized tools. But
Yeah,
we're
that's really
definitely
cool.
gearing up for a Copilot as well. I can't wait to enable coaches to help more people and save a lot more time.
That's the kind of stuff I think will really help coaches out. So for those of you that are like, I'm never going to touch AI because it's anti-human, realize that you can become a better coach supporting your clients with the right combination of your skill set and the automation and efficiencies that AI can do. So keep an eye out for what we're doing in Leadpages, what Alina's doing at Profi, and see how you can adopt some levels of it. Just like you don't use a scratch paper to do your math anymore, you use a calculator. There are some of those types of things that it just frees your time up and your mental energy up to do things in a different way. I'd love to ask you a couple of questions around the delivery of services now for coaches. That's really what Profi is so good at, is once you have a coach who has a client, what is the experience like for the client? And then in a little bit, I'm sure I'll be able to share some answers about how to get the client in the first place. But I assume those of you watching, you have a handful of clients. Hopefully you have a full roster, but you probably are like, I've got a good group. As you mentioned before, like what, 2 or 3, you don't need to do much scaling, but once you get past 3, like you got to get some systems in place. So for the solopreneur coach who's doing this on their own, what are the kinds of things they're struggling with because they're putting all these random things together that Profi is solving on the delivery for that client experience?
Yeah, let me throw in some data points. It is actually 3 times more expensive to acquire new customers than grow your revenue from the existing customer base. So whatever you can do to provide an aha moment and wow experience to your clients can result in tripling your revenue, because coaching market, as we all know, is all about the word of mouth motion. And there is a really nice saying that if you don't have a word of mouth motion happening, you're dead. You just don't know about it yet. So as coaches, our number one kind of goal that we need to focus on is to provide an outstanding professional experience to our clients so that they continue engaging with us and bring more clients. Because we at Profi run businesses of thousands of coaches, and I'm yet to see a very successful scaled coaching business that is relying on ads or heavily relying on marketing versus doing everything they can to help clients talk about their experience and then engage in more services and then bring more of their peers to the service. Everything starts with the client getting what they're looking for and more. There's always got to be that magic. Sometimes clients don't even know what they want. And then once they get what they actually needed versus what they wanted, sometimes that's where that outstanding experience happens. And then streamlining the experience to make sure that your clients can easily navigate through the engagement. We at Profi conduct so many user interviews, which means we interview clients of our coaches and coaches themselves in order to understand how can we streamline this whole experience and enable the optimized flow and journey for both parties. We just cannot overemphasize how important it is for coaching clients to see and engage with their coaches in a very optimized environment so that they know what's next for them. What have we gone through? What else is out there available for me? Because more often than not, clients of coaches don't even realize that there's so much more offerings that are available by coaches. You have to make sure that all of your services and your client journey is very much transparent to your clients, and they can easily upgrade. They can easily add more sessions to the package and book new sessions with you, and then enroll in all of the programs and pre-recorded content and see all the previous notes and forms, because it definitely can result in tripling your revenue. That's what we see from our customer businesses that run on Profi.
I can imagine like the average coach who doesn't have the system like this, they've got their workplace Gmail account. They have emails back and forth to try to set up a time to meet for the next coaching session. They have a response of one email about what they covered in the last session, what their homework was. The client doesn't reply, but opens up a new email, starts a thread about whatever their questions are. The coach responds to that. Now you've got two different email chains going on inside of your email platform, which isn't super secure, by the way. And then you've got this idea of what documents, is it attached to this email? Is it attached to that email? Whatever. Whereas the Profi coaches, the clients are logging in and they see their dashboard that's just for them, right? And it's got book your next session, and there's a calendar, and it has the idea of your notes so that anything that you did back and forth, it's right there. And like you mentioned, any kind of next package to do is right there. The ability to pay is right there. There's no back and forth on the phone with what's your credit card information, what's your CIV, what's your expiration date, like all that kind of time wasting that happens with clients that don't have a system like this. Man, it just really focuses your energy on the actual active coaching, which I really love.
In the journey that you described, coaches might be losing a lot of money. For example, we did a case study recently with one of our customers, and they did the calculation on how much they lost on just not integrated tools. And the amount came down to be $644,000. And that's because they lost 20 corporate accounts, and then they calculated the admin time. Case study is already on our website. It's pretty painful to see. And a lot of coaches don't actually realize that they're losing a lot of money before they move into an integrated systems, because it's just hard to calculate all the hours daily that you and your admins have to dedicate. And then the clients are not getting a professional experience by paying a high ticket to the coach. Clients expect a professional, streamlined experience. So that is just a tremendous amount of growth that is possible once you move into an integrated system.
We talked about the solo coaches. There's probably some people listening to this or watching this that have the desire to grow beyond just their own coaching. Talk to us a little bit about how a coach can increase their revenue by adding on additional coaches as a team, and how does Profi help to empower coaches to be able to do that?
One of the trends that we see that's picking up more and more, it started in COVID. Because of the economic downturn, coaches, to weather the economic condition, are gathering in collectives or teams or organizations so that it's easier for them to market themselves, and then it's easier for them to provide a more of a holistic and comprehensive service to their clients. Adding team members on your brand as a coach, as a successful coach with a name and some sort of market presence, is one of the organic ways to scale. And that, of course, comes with its own complexities that you need to be enabled with a system to manage, because there is an IP that you need to make sure that you're protecting, access management, as well as roles and permissions, and just making sure that your clients are getting a comprehensive professional branded experience with any of the coaches they interact with. And you, as a team leader, a company owner, have a complete ownership over not just the client experience, but also email lists, all of the touch points. Everything that your client touches is cohesive and has conversions built in. We see 250%, 400% growth within our existing customer base once they implement all of the pretty simple things, and then you kind of unblock growth. Another trend that we're seeing is those collectives are forming to provide a better experience to the clients. Sometimes, for example, mental health and wellness providers are forming referral network so that their clients are getting their physical training, their fitness training, their nutrition coaching, their mental health and wellness services. And this kind of group of coaches or providers is leading an experience for one client. And this is something that we also started seeing more and more nowadays that I really love. And it all again comes down to making sure that the systems are in place and clients are getting the professional experience with all the payments built in, upsells, referral notes, and security too. What's also another piece of advice that we see a lot of coaches not thinking of as they start scaling their coaching business, if they're looking to sell one day to a corporate sector, they need to make sure that the system they're using is ready for that. Because very often, as soon as you start working on the corporate contracts, the corporate enterprises, they require your systems to have certain security measures in place. If you want to win that contract, you will have to choose a vendor that is secure and can, for example, pass your GDPR, SOC 2, or HIPAA compliance needs that are as a requirement for the enterprise customers. So in other words, if as you're starting coaching business, it's very important to choose a vendor that will be scaling with you and that will be supporting you from the first sale to full scale. Because down the road, you would not want to migrate to another system, as it can come at a cost of losing some of the customer client engagements, contracts, and unrealized revenue.
Yeah, those are all really great points. And I think that some coaches listening are maybe they've had experience of being a subcontractor coach for other larger companies. And what Alina is describing is you're actually becoming that master company and subcontracting some coaches. You can set a margin over what the coach charges that you charge on top of. So you can, again, have some scalable revenue. But I love this idea of the collective coaching for a holistic 360 experience where the individual coach doesn't have to feel like they do have to treat all the different areas of challenge that a client comes to them with. They can have a team that says, hey, you need nutrition advice? Don't look at me. You want to go to my friend here, and here's where you can go to get signed up with a discovery call with them. So I love all those thoughts.
Yeah. What are some of the trends that you were seeing? Maybe anything on the marketing side as well?
We'll talk in a minute about how to get the clients in the first place, but this idea of treating your clients really well to focus on the results that they get. I think a lot of coaches, when they hear marketers like me talk, they start to get this bias towards the lead gen and towards the traffic, and they try to learn Facebook ads and they try to learn all this other stuff. But it's really magical when you focus your energy on the results that your clients want and you over deliver on what that is and you charge a fair price for it. The clients that you have are going to be your marketing engine, right? Like when I gave you that picture of the marketing flywheel for a coach, yes, you can put the ads in the attention getting at the beginning, but the most powerful referrals you're going to get is from the word of mouth, right? And so what I see as a trend is those that are succeeding as coaches, they're doing two things really well. One, they're focusing on the results that their clients are getting. And the second thing that they're doing is they're building a community of their clients. So I don't know what kind of coaching you do that you're watching, but if there is an opportunity for you to open the door to where you have private client relationship with individual clients, but you can bring them together in a community, whether it's virtually or maybe once a year there's a retreat. Those are the coaches I see that are doing super well because people are starving for connections with other humans that are in a similar situation from them, right? And so if you're coaching a bunch of people in a similar kind of situation and you can bring them together, your coaching expertise is on display, but also you're bringing people together in a way that they can help each other out. And I can tell you from experience, coaching a group is typically more powerful than the sum of the parts of coaching individuals if you can bring them together. So with that in mind, how does Profi help enable some community building for the coaching clients so they don't have to get stuck on some kind of like crappy Facebook group that has ads all over the place and they can be focused on actually engaging with their peers?
Yeah, I believe just as I mentioned with that trend of collectives that are providing a holistic experience, I think it's all about clients feel like everything has been thought out for them. And definitely Facebook and WhatsApp groups are, or any disintegrated tool just creates that friction where if a client needs to log into 3 systems, 5 systems in order to make sense of the high ticket engagement, think about that client as a lost referral opportunity. And I'm not joking, throughout the years of running Profi and running so many businesses on Profi, sitting on the data, every login, sometimes even every click makes us lose clients. This might sound like exaggeration, but wait until you see what an integrated experience for clients can do. For example, if you're onboarding a new client to your engagement and they have to log into 3 to 5 systems, the onboarding rates sometimes can be very low as 4%, 11%, 20%. And on the renewal, you will be losing those clients as well. So community is one of those aspects that has to be deeply integrated into everything else related to the engagement. On the sales side, we definitely see a lot of the businesses saying that they want to run a community. But speaking of experience, I could tell that communities they sound easy. It sounds like you just spin up something and then your clients will naturally talk to each other. There will be peer support, there will be value. But unless you have a dedicated person that is sole purpose is to just run a community and continuously deliver value into that community, it might be easier to not even start, because that overselling clients on something and then not delivering on it sometimes can hurt even more than not even selling into it. So I even was speaking to a founder of a community platform that, again, is sitting on a ton of data, and we were just nerding about what it takes to build a community. And both of us came to a conclusion that there's got to be an ops people dedicated solely to the community, and there's got to be a viral aspect built into the business. And people have to feel that it's not stretched value, but there's definitely a self-feeding flywheel that community starts generating, and it takes a while to take it off the ground. So it sounds really amazing. I think will be more and more community driven businesses, or a community will be an integrated part of every coaching, or maybe most of the coaching businesses. But we just have to make sure that we are designing our org to support that motion, because it's very easy to just lose sight of it and then clients not get what they expected to get.
Yeah, love all that advice. Very good thoughts around biting off what you can chew, not more than it. And I think that is the case in a lot of areas of your business, right? You think there's a really good next component that could be in, but it may require a virtual assistant or a team member of some kind to help out with that. Do you have any other thoughts about delivering the client service that we didn't touch on before we talk about the way to get more clients in the door in the first place?
Yeah, something else that I see being very beneficial for the knowledge workers for coaching businesses is to make sure that you provide a hyper personalized service and you build curriculums or programs where it's a kind of hybrid experience. We see that, for example, a completion rate in pure pre-recorded content is really low. Sometimes it can go as low as 4%. And again, all of the 4% onboarding and completion rate means that it's very hard to expand your revenue and grow those engagements into a bigger check sizes and contracts. As soon as you build a program and experience for your clients where you combine pre-recorded content plus a one-on-one session or webinars as a step, or if you're a team of coaches, letting several coaches lead an experience of a cohort of clients, that's where you can see the onboarding and completion rate skyrocketing up to 90% and more. Because again, I think in the age of abundance of all kinds of information content, especially now with AI, there's just a flood of generic content. Having that personal touch is really what matters for the client. The businesses that use Profi, that sprinkle in one-on-one sessions into the experience, are definitely seeing a lot more growth than just pre-recorded content. And I think that trend is here to stay. And again, with AI, it's just going to be more and more about that heart-to-heart connection. Anything that you were seeing on this front too?
Yeah, I think the general thought of this is just to make sure that people have the experience fine-tuned. You've touched on a lot of things so far today around giving people the wow factor, not just on like how you deliver that from a coaching experience, but from the delivery of your service, of people going like, they have their shit together and I want to be part of this system. If they've gone through so much thought and intentionality around my experience, then I know that I'm going to show up and be ready to play. And this idea of delivering some pre-recorded content, you may not have it yet, right? You may not have this idea of, I've got 3 modules that I'm going to walk people through over the next 3 months of their coaching engagement with you. But as you work on this and you start to learn how to use a tool like Profi, and you realize what's available to you, your brain starts to think, oh, why am I saying the same thing every single coaching call to my clients? Why don't I take a 5-minute or 10-minute video of me saying that same thing and I put it into the onboarding flow before our first call, right? And then maybe a month into the engagement, I typically start talking about these questions. Why don't I put that into a 5 or 10-minute video and say between session 3 and 4, go watch this, or go download this document and do a quick self-assessment and check the boxes or whatever. All that can be done and systemized. And again, the more intentional you are, the more success rate you're going to have, because people are following a similar pattern and framework. And that pays dividends when you put that together. So again, you don't have to have it all yet, but if you can visualize even just one recorded component to start with, and then, as I love to say, take action and revise later. After a couple more clients come through there, they're going to have questions that aren't answered yet. Put it into another module and continue to grow so that all the subsequent clients that you get the benefit of your experience without you having to be there. And again, we're talking about trying to escape a time for dollars trap, right? Boy, how much cooler is it when you can deliver 5 hours of value to a client with 1 hour of actual personal time, and the rest of it they're doing on their own asynchronously, and you can be working with other clients instead.
Yes, I completely agree with everything you said. And it's interesting that coaches sometimes miss out on something that would help them initiate that flywheel, again, the growth and the marketing flywheel. I love to get inspired in the tech industry and then bring it down to the professional services industry, because tech industry has millions and billions of dollars, and ChatGPT, OpenAI is raising $7 trillion. So they're sitting on a lot of resources to experiment and see what works. And it's a very common thing for tech companies to use NPS score, a net promoter score, at the end of certain kind of steps in the engagement to just see how clients are rating their experience and would they recommend. One of the questions in the NPS score is, would you recommend my service to anyone else? And normally it's easier than to just talk and have some sort of personalized offer to that cohort of clients. I don't see many coaches capitalizing and using the NPS score just to get a feedback on the experience and to kickstart that growth flywheel.
You're absolutely right. If you have an NPS of 8, 9, or 10, follow up with them and get them on a call and ask them some questions that lead to a good testimonial, right? Or have a flow in your process to collect a testimonial. The people that are 7 and below, you want to get on the phone with them and say, what's going on? How can I help better? Because if you don't have that interaction, especially the people that are like 2 and 3, they're going to go on those review sites. They're going to go on whatever platform you might have some visibility on, and they will write a review, but it will be very negative. And that one-star review, you need 8 5-star reviews to combat. Having something like that in place for your business helps you to grow it and helps you to make sure you're doing the right things.
Yeah. If you want to have a good laugh, go on Google and search 1-star reviews of national parks in the US. It's a compilation of very funny reviews, but that's off topic.
Just a wee bit. That's okay. I think we've got a good handle on how to deliver better services for the clients that you have and the clients that you're going to get. Now I think it's probably a good time to figure out, how do you get the new clients? So from your perspective, Alina, what do you think clients that are using Profi and other coaches, what do they seem to be struggling with when it comes to getting the visibility and attention to generate leads once they've exhausted that referral network that they might have?
Yeah, I think definitely knowing how to deliver your message and packaging your value in a very easy to understand way, and also making sure that you are going as niche as possible, you're as granular with the ideal customer persona you're servicing as possible. That normally helps a lot. If you're a coach that works with executives, just checking out what's happening in their head, what are the podcasts they're listening, what is the language they're using, What are the trends? Are they all, for example, anxious and worried about the layoffs in the tech industry? And maybe personalizing the content that you're sharing to address those potential pain points. What are you seeing?
Yeah, similarly, I see the coaches that are ready to grow, but they're not quite sure what to do, or they're brand new and they don't know how to get clients. They do tend to have this thought that they need to appeal to a wide audience because what they do can help so many different types of people. But I always love to encourage people to pick a lane. And even if you say to yourself, I can help 5 different categories of people, your marketing material, each individual piece of marketing material should address one of those 5 categories. And then you can repeat those and customize them to those different audiences, but have them in different channels or different videos or different posts. You don't want to try to be all things to all people because that just doesn't resonate with people enough, and they want that real clear personal connection. And so that's why we champion landing pages so much, because a website, if you put your energy into it, or God forbid you spend a ton of money on a website, the tendency for coaches is they try to put everything they could do in that one website. When you use landing pages instead, you give yourself permission to focus on one challenge that one type of category of person wants to solve, or one problem or job that they're trying to do. And then you know that you can create a second landing page and a third landing page and a fourth landing page for the other types of situations that you can help. That's one of the reasons why we're such big proponents of using landing pages for your marketing, because it does allow you to pick a lane and to niche down, even if in your entirety of your business, you might have multiple niches that you want to serve. That's okay, but you'll grow a lot faster when you experiment with individual niches. And then maybe after 90 days or 6 months, you realize this niche is paying the bills. This niche is fun, but not paying the bills. And this niche is horrible. I'm getting the absolute worst clients that are not clicking with me. They're not bad people, but we're just not a good fit. And so having the ability to choose that allows you to have the better client relationship, gets you the better result, gets them the better results, gets them better referrals. And again, the flywheel can continue.
That's why I love Leadpages, because your product makes it extremely easy to just copy and paste and then make a little tweak and iterate very quickly within minutes instead of hours on something, and then learn from it. Nowadays, in such a fast-paced environment, it's all about learning and iterating quickly. That also is about coaching space as well. Just making sure that we're staying on top of the current trends for our customers and we speak their language. It used to be a lot more complicated, but with Leadpages, all of it is a no-brainer, and anyone can manage it and roll out something out within minutes. And that's really beautiful and important.
I'm glad you see that, because it is something that we have been crafting for a long time. So I think it would be helpful for you watching to discuss this concept of a lead magnet. I want to share some thoughts from the Leadpages perspective, but Alina, since you're so close to so many coaches, what initial questions do you think they have about lead magnets that I can address?
From what I'm learning in my conversations with coaches, a lot of them have some sort of anxiety when it comes to marketing themselves. So they are thinking that they're not doing something that they should be doing. And some of them are saying that other successful coaches are probably doing something else, or they're doing something better in marketing and explaining their value. So if there's anything you can address there, that would be of great help.
That's really a good point. I think anxiety is not just for the people that the coaches want to work with, it's for the coaches themselves too, around selling them their services, as you mentioned. And that especially comes in play, I think, when if you're marketing your coaching service, if you lead with a discovery call on your website or on your landing page and you say, hey, I can help these types of people with this types of challenge, book a call now for us to talk about your situation. If the first experience people have with you is that discovery call, then you are trying to prove your expertise on the call. And that results in a couple things. One, you tend to word vomit on people with all of your expertise and experience, which doesn't come across very good to the client because you're talking all about yourself instead of getting the curiosity flow going to get them to talk about what their challenge is. The art of selling from a coach's perspective is, and being a good coach just in general, is being curious as opposed to being someone who teaches all the things and just dumps on them without listening. But the other thing about it is it puts pressure on you to deliver during that discovery call, in which case you provide so much value that you might give people the false impression of solving the challenge that they have, and then they don't need to work with you. Now, you and I both know that's not going to be the case. If they come with a significant challenge, they can't solve it in 30 minutes. And if you're that good, then you should be charging a lot more money than free discovery calls. But I digress. The reason I want you to be thinking about doing a lead magnet is because it helps encapsulate some aspect of your expertise in the eyes of the prospective coaching client, so that when they then go to talk to you, they've already had some experience of learning from you. Even if you weren't there in the moment, your video or your checklist or your guide or whatever it is helping them get a transformation, even if it's a step one of that bigger transformation you can do, but they're doing that without having to actually talk to you, which means that after they've gotten that lead magnet and they've consumed it, they've hopefully put something into action, and you present them with, hey, if you want to increase whatever you're trying to transform their lives around, let's get on a discovery call. Now the discovery call is very appropriately placed, either on a thank you page or in a follow-up email, and it's in the right moment. You'll get more people who want to be on that discovery call than in the first place, but also when they come to that call, they're going to be better educated as a potential client. And so you can spend more of your time actually diving into what's the next step and how does working with you look? What does it cost? What are the frameworks that you're putting in place? How you help people in similar situations? All that kind of stuff can be part of that conversation. And you're not going to feel as much like you have to overprove yourself. I also find the case that if people do a lead magnet first and then a discovery call second, that your success rate on those discovery calls to convert into clients goes up much faster. So I don't know how many discovery calls you've done so far. Look at your roster of the last 30 discovery calls that you did, and what's the percentage of success of turning those people into a client. My assumption is, if you're like most coaches, that if you have a discovery call in the front door of your marketing, your website, your first landing page, whatever, you probably have a 30% or 40% conversion rate of turning that person into a client or worse, right? Which means for every 10 conversations, 3 or 4 become a client, 6 or 7 are out the door. But if you have a lead magnet first that educates them, and then you have the discovery call, your conversion rate should be at 70%, 80%. It's okay. It doesn't need to be perfect. Okay. If it is perfect, you're not charging enough money. You have some other pricing issues and such that we could talk about at a different time. But 70 to 80% is a really good sweet spot. And what that does for you is that when you know that a larger portion of people say yes, you're more confident on those calls. You become more magnetic on those calls. You're not coming into those calls thinking, 1 in 3 people are going to say yes, but everybody else is going to say no. That negativity, that pessimism is going to be visible in some way to the prospective client, and that perpetuates itself negatively too. Lead magnets are really important. They build up your list. They pre-qualify people. They help you get pre-qualified in the eyes of the prospect, so that if they self-select that you're not for them, they don't get on your calendar anyway. And that's okay. That's perfectly fine. And after a while, you can even ditch them off your email list if you want to. But having that lead magnet in place is good to go. I want to talk a little bit about how to come up with the idea of that in a second, but I wanted to pass it back to you, Alina, if there's anything that you wanted to add about why lead magnets, then discovery calls and so forth can be such a powerful 1-2 punch.
We're in the business of helping our customers win back the time, and the more precise help you can deliver during that face-to-face interaction, the better of an impression your client will have. So lead pages and lead magnets are just a very important prep, so that your clients know about your value, and then you can also learn a lot more about them prior to the calls. It's all about delivering an outstanding and personalized experience, and it's very hard to achieve that without the landing pages and the lead magnets. I don't know if I know any successful coaching business that does not use those tools, because it's just hard.
It's such a time waster otherwise. Now, having a landing page also for me is a way for you to get more people to say yes to you, because if you do what you can with lead pages, especially, the number of people that come to that initial lead magnet page will convert higher rates because of the strategies that we bake into our product. One of the things that takes a conversion rate of, say, 5 or 10% on a landing page to 40, 50% is having the best lead magnet offer. The crux of the matter is 2 factors make a big difference that are not on your page. And that is, what are you offering in your lead magnet, and who are you talking to for that lead magnet? So what's the context of your presentation? So when it comes to your lead magnet, the first question I want you to ask yourself is, what am I trying to sell to the people who are going to download this lead magnet? Okay. Because as a coach, you want to work with people whose problems and challenges you can help, not just get an email list that's bigger, right? Nobody really cares about having a big email list if it's just all a bunch of people just not really getting value from you. So what are you trying to sell? And then the second question you want to ask yourself is, to whom do you want to sell it? In other words, who are those ideal clients that you want to work with? I know that what you have to offer can apply to a lot of different people. We talked about splitting this up into different niches and stuff like that. So think about, what is the job to be done for that person? What is the characteristic of their challenge right now? What are they really facing? And what do they want out of whatever their future may hold? Okay, so who are you trying to sell that package to, or that program to? The third question I want you to answer is, what challenge do they self-identify is right in front of them that they need to fix? So they want a bigger picture thing, but they also probably are up at night because there's one immediate thing that they really want to address. To solve that particular thing, they might need to do all kinds of stuff, but you want to meet them where they're at. And the fourth question is to ask yourself, what's the first step I can help them to take to see momentum in addressing this challenge? You don't have to solve all the challenge in one lead magnet. That would be magical if you can do that, charge a lot of money for it. But a lead magnet is designed to give them momentum towards wanting to buy from you. And so you need to know, what are they trying to fix? And then the last thing is, how can you deliver the first step of that challenge? So to give you an example, Alina, if you have a coach or coaches watching right now who might be dealing with executive coaching for getting a new job, one thing that they think initially is, how am I going to get a new job if there's 500 applicants for this, right? How do I get that dream position and stand out? And so the coach might go through that 5-question exercise, and they realize what kind of candidate they're going to look for, what their challenge is. The thing that they need to see first is, how do I get my face onto a Zoom call with the hiring manager so I can actually talk to them and get my personality to shine through, and so forth. So the first step might be, how do I revamp my LinkedIn profile so that my application goes to the top of the heap? So these are the types of things that then turn into a lead magnet. So the lead magnet becomes, this is your checklist for a freaking awesome LinkedIn profile that gets hiring managers to say yes to your first interview. That's a very simple thing as a career coach or an executive coach that's dealing in career coaching of some kind, so that they also need to have a better resume. They need to have better personality on the Zoom camera or in person. They need to know how to ask all these questions during the interview. They need to know how to state the answers to questions like, how much are you looking for a salary? But in this initial lead magnet, you don't need to address all of that. You need to address, how do I get seen and heard in the first place? And then your coaching program that you're selling is all the rest of it. How do you work them through this other part of the program? So I know your coaching might not be in that field, but hope you can recognize how relevant this, like, part one of what you're trying to solve becomes that lead magnet. And then whether or not that lead magnet is a checklist or a cheat sheet or a template or a video or an e-course, like, we talk about that. But one of the things that I learned from talking to your buddy Danielle the other day is, when you think of the delivery mechanism of the lead magnet, think about, what's the experience going to be like in your coaching, and can you give them a taste of that in your lead magnet? So if you do have one-on-one coaching, make sure your lead magnet is at least a video, right? Have yourself on camera a little bit. If you don't want to do video, have your voice on with some slides. Obviously, coaching is going to be a person-to-person thing, so I hope you get over whatever camera shyness you may have. But I know some people are stuck with that. So first lead magnet, do a screen with your voice. But don't do somebody else's voice. Don't go to 11 Labs and hire an AI voice. I'm sick of the same dude reading off all of these scripts. That's, are you doing that? All right. I just heard him today, and that somebody had tweaked like his country twang and has sped him up a little bit, but it's still the same AI voice. So anyway, I wanted to give you a picture. Before you even try to optimize a page for conversions, a big element is having the right kind of lead magnet that's going to attract the kind of client that you want to have hire you, that you want to deliver those services for.
I can't emphasize it enough. It's all about really delivering upfront value to the market even before they convert into being your customers, because that's how organic social business motion or kind of growth motion works. You just deliver a lot of value over a certain period of time, over LinkedIn posts, lead magnets with information, with value. Just over deliver on the value up front to your clients. And that does not minimize your revenue. That does not minimize the amount of clients that get to your personalized help. It's a really good way to build the top of the funnel and expand your reach. A lot of the coaches are delivering lots of help upfront to their potential market, and that what brings them a lot more qualified leads.
One really good example that I see in the Leadpages universe, there's a woman named Alex Catoni who runs Copy Posse, and she's a copywriting coach and trainer. And she does a really good job on Instagram and social channels as well as YouTube, put together some really good videos. And then on her videos or in her social posts, she's always saying, hey, if you want to take the next step from what I just taught you, then go download this 100 things to do to get clients for copywriters. So this idea of providing value, it can come in a number of different ways. It can be on a podcast, it can be on a webinar, it can be as a guest in somebody's networking event in person, it can be on social channels, etc. But you always want to be able to send people to a next step, which is where the lead magnet comes in. And that also helps you to build up this email list of people who hopefully will turn into discovery calls within 24 hours, right? But let's be real, that's not going to be everybody. And so you have 80% or so of people who get your lead magnet who are not ready yet for that kind of thing. What do you do for those folks? You can send them emails over time that help educate them further, that get them ready for that discovery call or working with you. As you get the social proof of the results you get for clients, you can tell that in a story via email. If you have 5 testimonials, and hopefully you have more than that, but let's say you have 5 testimonials from people you've worked with in the past. If you go to a landing page or a sales page and you've got the 5 testimonials, that's great, right? But for the people that don't buy right away, isn't it great if you can have their email address and then you can tell more about the stories of that particular case study or that testimonial and speak more towards, hey, if you have this kind of challenge, it reminds me of Susan. And Susan came to me with this exact challenge. We worked together for 90 days. I put her through this particular framework I have, and here's what she says now, blah, 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 blah. You can do that via email. If you do that 5 times in one sales page, it starts to get a little bit overwhelming. If you trickle it out over time in the email or do both, boy, that really makes a big difference to getting people to want to say yes to you.
That's what lead magnets are great for, because you can capture the emails and then keep delivering value. And I was actually talking to a friend recently who wrote 2 books. First book, he just started delivering to his community as a lead magnet. And the second book, he realized that the readers of the book wanted the continuation. So he wrote the second book and then spread it out as a lead magnet. And he attached, if you like what you read, if you like my methodology, here's my booking widget to my personalized coaching consulting. And he made a lot of money. It's a very nice business, because people sometimes we read something, but implementing it, what we just read, is just takes a lot more effort. So sometimes it's easier to just work directly with the person who's the author of the book or methodology, instead of just trying to implement that on its own. That person said that he wishes that he implemented and converted to the sessions with him and his team a lot sooner. He would have made a lot more money. Any advice that you have on the length, the structure, and the user experience of the landing pages? Anything that you would consider optimal?
There's 3 things that come to mind for that right away. One is make your pages as short as possible. That gets the point across, because we do find that people who have lengthier pages don't convert as well as the initial one. If you go over to our template gallery, for example, and you hit the button that says highest converting, you're able to see that the first 3 racks of examples for the top rated pages are all single section pages. They might have a footer, but they're just one hero section, very clear about what they're delivering, and they're like a yes or no, right? As you add additional sections, you're adding friction and thought towards what should be a very simple mental conversation with somebody. They come to the page, they should see the message they want to hear to say yes or no as quickly as possible. And the idea of that makes it super easy for you because it means you don't have to hire a big fancy design company or agency to build out this big, huge website. And you certainly don't need to have them make a big landing page for you. You can have a 1, 2, maybe 3 section landing page. What I would encourage those of you that are not quite savvy with your writing is maybe you do want that second section, or especially if you're unknown in your field, to explain a little bit more about how your expertise and experience it matters to the reader who's on that page. All right. So having a hero section that speaks to the transformation people want and what you're giving to them in the exchange of the email. And then that second section saying, for the last 15 years, I've helped people in this situation get to this kind of result. And I get jazzed up about it all the time because I see the results that they get, blah, blah, blah. You don't, in an about section on a landing page, by the way, say, I'm so-and-so, I went to such university, I have 17 degrees, I have this many alphabets, phrases behind my name, and you should hire me because I'm awesome. The awesomeness and the authority comes from how you describe the challenge people face and relate to them with examples of how you have helped people like them. And that's done by a very simple about section if you wish to use it. It's also helped by 2 or 3 testimonials, even if they're super short. Even if you only have one, that's better than you talking about yourself for a long time. Having that one description of somebody who did well with you can go a long way. And if you're brand new as a client, you don't have that, then just focus on getting results of any client you do get so that you can quickly put that testimonial in and try to focus on that. Okay. So those are some of the big things on the landing page to answer that question, Alina.
Yeah, it makes total sense. The shorter, the better, and the more optimized, the better. And yeah, be as granular as possible with the ideal customer persona so that it's easier for your potential customers to resonate with you and to understand that you're really for them instead of trying to make sense of that alphabet behind your last name.
And another optimization tactic I want you to take on is making sure that your imagery in the hero section is positive. So one of the things that people tend to do as a coach is they think because they've read some book somewhere that they need to agitate the pain point of what people's current state of being is so that they want to get out of that situation. And there is some truth to that being part of copywriting, but it doesn't come in the hero section. It comes in the second section, or it comes in the lead magnet itself, where you paint the picture of like, how much longer are you going to suffer through this thing? But that hero section, it needs to be the result of already working with you in that lead magnet. It doesn't have to be you. It can be a stock photo, although authentic images are better usually than some fancy stock photo that's unrealistic. But if you can have a positive version of somebody who is an example of who you want to help on that hero section, that works out super well. Don't put up the picture of the lead magnet. Put up somebody who has experienced the lead magnet and is now on the other side of it. Okay. That's going to serve you better. You can always split test this. Maybe your audience responds differently, but we have 12 years of data and history to look back to. So we can say to you that hero section should speak to the individual who wants to change. And then maybe in the second section or third section, you can say, look, if you're struggling with this, I feel your pain. I know what it's like, or whatever the case is. And if you want to agitate that a little bit from that pain, agitate, solution copywriting model, you can do so, but don't put it in that front section. And certainly don't leave them hanging with life must really suck. Get my guide. It needs to be life doesn't have to suck for you any longer. I've got a pathway to help you out. It starts with this guide that I've created for you, or this video that I've recorded for you. It's always about what's the first step, right? So that's another piece that I want you to be thinking about is your lead magnet is always a stepping stone, right? And so it's okay for you to tell people, I want to help you with this transformation. And the reality is, I can't help you with that in 1 5-minute read of a document or watching a video. Then if you like what you see and get what I'm doing, then we can have a conversation to move forward. So you don't have to say that in the language of your landing page, but that's the vibe you're trying to get across, is to say, you want this for your life? I can help. Here's step 1. Don't try to overpromise in your lead magnet. And then on your thank you page, say, I just sent you the thing. And by the way, to really solve this problem, you actually have to get all this other stuff. What you want to say is, I just sent you the thing. Remember, this is step 1. Step 2 is to get on a call with me so that we can talk about your opportunities and challenges in the specific situation you're in, and then I can guide you into the right direction. Or if you're selling a program that's not a coaching call, it can be, look, if you want to do this rapidly, I've created a 5-part program that's going to walk you through the steps to get to this other side. The lead magnet that I just sent to you is step 1. If you want to get going with that first, great. If you're in a hurry and you want to go further, then here's how you do that. So there's no shame in you telling people on a thank you page, I've sent you the thing, I want you to get great value from it. And that's step 1. Step 2 and 3, etc. Here's how that goes. And if you're ready, here's where it is. If not, no big deal. Make sure you're on with step 1.
What I'm hearing is it's all about qualification up front. And that really matters. That saves everyone a lot of time, and being solution oriented in your copy and everything, in the marketing language that you use, and using Leadpages so that you can easily experiment and roll out all of the tools that Leadpages has to offer. So you don't have to, again, juggle multiple tools and spend a lot of time trying to optimize your funnel, your marketing, your lead magnets, email, and everything else.
That's right. As we're coming to an end to this conversation, Alina, I think it would be cool to just tell people a little bit more about how they can get started with our 2 platforms, and also maybe what's one thing that you really love about Profi that sets you apart. So let's start with you. Go to leadpages.com/Profi. They get a little special deal. But what sets Profi apart from doing the other things? I know we talked about a lot, but what's one other thing we might not have covered?
We are focused on streamlining and consolidating everything you need in one single login. So you don't have to be, for example, creating Notion pages or Word documents where you would be outlining all of the systems that you need to be logging in, pouring data from one tool to another and playing an engineer at night. We really want to be the only platform that you will ever need from your first sale to full scale, so that you don't have to think about a lot of the things, because we spend our days and nights thinking and engineering for an optimal experience for coaches and their clients, and for use cases when coaching business takes off, so that you don't have to migrate from systems, but you can stay with us and roll out a new type of business. For example, if you're servicing consumers, you can easily roll out your corporate and enterprise offering. We just want to be a strategic platform partner for coaching businesses, and that's what we're optimizing for.
If you do go to leadpages.com/Profi and you sign up for a solo account, you have a 30-day trial that they can go through everything and really see what's there before they actually pay anything. Is there any other special opportunity through that link that they might not get otherwise?
We always run specials, so feel free to reach out to support. Tell us that you're a Leadpages friend, and we will definitely showcase what's the latest and greatest we have in store for you.
As for us over at Leadpages, we want to make sure that you're super successful as well. So as you have been watching this video, I want you to know that we have built into our templates the strategy of conversion so that you already have it baked in to these templates. So as you go to the template gallery and you pull one into your account, you'll see that we've already pre-written headlines and body text and bullet points where you can treat it like Mad Libs, right? And then just replace your content with that. We also are a very human first company, even though we have AI tools within our builder. Our support team is amazing. We give customers the opportunity to get expert feedback from our team about how your page looks, what's the next thing that could be improved upon, some of those types of things that we do for free, and some of the things you can hire us to make your page better if you don't want to do it yourself, if you're short on time or you just want to get it done faster or whatever the case may be. But we're always focused on you as a human doing cool transformative things with your clients, and I think that does set us apart from the rest of the groups. Likewise, we have a special offer for you that if you click the link that you see near this video, you'll be able to see what that is. I would encourage you to try out both of our systems because they do work very well. It is possible someday in the future that somebody creates an amazing all-in-one, complete, all soup to nuts thing. We've never seen that be possible. And I love what Profi's doing with specializing in client in the door, serve them so they become great clients and great referral partners, and then using us in tandem to get the people in the front door in the first place. And I love that Profi has the booking widget so that you can get them on those discovery calls. It has the delivery of the programs, the opportunity to sell your packages, to actually have people pay you online without having to work with other tools. All that stuff is put in place and then put on the front end, our landing pages and a website if you want, and you'll be in great shape. As we wrap up, Alina, any other last thoughts about what we've talked about today, tripling revenue through these different mechanisms, tweaking each element of this flywheel we talked about today that you want to make sure you get across to people?
Just follow Bob and Lead Pages on LinkedIn because I do learn a lot from your posts and Lead Pages posts. And thank you for sharing a ton of valuable insights with us, your partners, as well as with the market. And we love Lead Pages. I love where you're heading. I love the roadmap. I love the vision because we at Profi are using Lead Pages as well for our landing pages and the lead magnets. So keep it up. And yeah, can't wait to see what 2024 has in store for us and beyond.
Likewise, we're excited about what you're doing over at Profi. We've got a lot of coaches and consultants and trainers, service providers, also some therapists. These are the perfect group of people that can do very well using Profi to deliver that fine-tuned experience. As a secondary thing, I'm wanting to go to Puerto Rico soon because of this lovely backdrop you've had from where you live. Thanks so much for being here today, Alina, and sharing this bit of a fireside chat with me today.
Thank you. I always learn a lot from you. I appreciate you.
Likewise.